So with that, I'm going to start, Doug, are you okay to start?
Can do whatever your pleasure is, Mr. Chair.
Fire away. Introduce yourself and tell us what your position is and why.
Sir, yes, sir. Doug Struyk here on behalf of the Iowa State Association of County Auditors. We are currently registered undecided on the bill. No concerns with the premise of the bill. It is, we have questions on the mechanics. First, we're using the term registrar. We're not the registrar. That is the Secretary of State's office. Second, verifying these and having these folks vetted, fine, not a problem. But how are we to handle same-day voter registrations? So if someone were to arrive at the polls, or if they came for early voting, the 20 days that they can early vote, is that someone who showed up, we now have to have them registered before they can vote? Maybe it's 20 days that could work, but they'd have to come back, or if they're there same day voting. So what is our path there? To quantify that, one of our county auditors, Scott County, shared some numbers with us. In 22 in their general election, they had 815 election day registrants on election day, obviously. In 2023 for their school board elections, they had 100 election day registrants. In 2024 large general election, they had just shy of 2,800. So in looking at this and figuring out how to implement it, we don't want to have it in such a way that we create lines and delays for people to vote. We have 2,800 people that are registering, and we're waiting to somehow check on a software package to verify them. It would delay. So not a problem with utilizing the SAVE Act and verifying these individuals, but we want clarity on how we're supposed to handle those. One that popped into my mind that also I don't think works is if you make every one of them a challenge ballot, then that's 2,800 challenge ballots that are still contingent upon getting a piece of information back, which we have no idea how long that information takes. When you're dealing with a finite amount of time there.
Provisional vote.
Oh, yeah, provisional vote, yeah.
I get a question.
Yes, Senator.
On a provisional vote in Scott County, we had this problem though. You have a provisional ballot, and at that point in time, if that person voted incorrectly, like somebody down there voted on a green card not knowing that they couldn't vote, the auditor and the people within that said, okay, that person did that incorrectly on accident. However that worked out. The problem was they couldn't go back and pull the vote because they were in the stack of provisional ballots. So they had no way, they had a way of saying somebody voted incorrectly, but they had no way to actually pull that vote back out. So all they could do is say, we had one person vote incorrectly.
Back to the mechanics on what do we do when we have that situation under the terms of the bill?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think the person was trying to actually do it. They were confused and thought they could vote on a green card, but they had no way to fix the election. The election in that particular case was close. I think it was 8 or 10 votes. So.
Senator Winker?
Yeah, I would add in regard to that situation, generally every ballot is numbered, and that would have to do with their filing system, not necessarily the fact that it isn't, you can't find that ballot, but they just weren't able to do that because the ballots are numbered. They should be filed numerically so that when this happens, because they do pull ballots, if you pass away, you voted early, you've passed away, they are able to retrieve that ballot. So I would think a provisional ballot, that system would also be there. But in this situation, it didn't work. I just know that they are very diligent, auditors are very diligent in assuring that everyone who is eligible to vote votes. So.
Okay, thank you. Move on, Doug, are you done?
I've completed, sir, thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, Kirsten Delgado, Planned Parenthood Advocates of Iowa. We're currently registered against this bill, only for some of the mechanical reasons that were represented of how does this make it more difficult for people to register to vote, to make sure that they have access to the ballot in a timely manner in a way that's going to be carried out fairly, as we heard, there was one potential issue with a ballot out of 2,800 provisional ballots. That seems like a fairly small margin of risk to keep our elections open and free and as accessible to people as possible.
I'm sorry, who are you representing?
Planned Parenthood Advocates of Iowa.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Eric?
Eric Gukin with the Secretary of State's office. So we've been moving in this general direction for, since last July when we got the expanded access to use outside data from federal government, from other trusted vendors. So we're already moving in this direction. We were one of 6 states that tested this enhanced state functionality that the Trump administration is rolling out, including bulk uploads, which will really be a game changer for this, for us to be able to check these people going forward. Where we're at in the process right now is we're preparing to run, now that testing is over, we're preparing to run full voter registration lists against SAFE and send notifications to those individuals that there may be, that there's information that indicates you may not be a citizen. So data in SAFE is kind of hit or miss at times. We're very cognizant of that, so we're trying to be very deliberate in how we move forward. Ultimately, our goal is to, with our new voter registration system, which should be out next year, is set up a real-time check. So as an auditor is entering a new voter, they're automatically being pinged against the SAFE system. We are a few months off from that yet. The technology isn't there, but that is where we're headed with all this. So we think the existing authorities already allow us to do this.
You mentioned you're running the registered voter against the SAVE database. Is that on a spot check basis, not across the scope? I mean, should we run everybody through that?
Yeah, so we're gonna run everybody through it. The SAVE program was recently upgraded to also use social security numbers and partial social security numbers as part of the search function, which wasn't available this time last year. So we've tested it. We're pretty confident that it's clean, so where we stand now is we're going to do a full check. Once we get that, we're also going to start checks periodically on all new voters who've registered since the last time we ran it. So,
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Hey everybody, Jeff Spitz with the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition. We're registered supporters of the bill. I think we can all probably agree on these 3 of the following truths. First, elections matter profoundly. They shape our families, freedoms, and future. Second, election integrity is essential to the trust in our government and the health of Iowa. And third, only U.S. citizens can vote legally, and that's already the law. This bill doesn't change that. What this bill simply does is require county registrars to use the federal SAFE system, a proven, reliable tool to verify citizenship before someone registers to vote. It's a smart upgrade to election safeguards. We urge you to pass the bill.
Thank you, Jeff. You're with. That's everyone here. Yes, Doug.
Brief point, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
New client, so I'm still learning. County today does not have access to the Secretary of State's SAVE access. So if you flipped a switch today and said, county auditors do this, we, even on election day, we don't have access to it. It's a vetting through the Secretary of State's office. So we don't, they're issued that through the federal government. We don't have a pipeline to that today.
Thank you. Seeing no one else in the room, I'm going to go to the Zoom participants, and Michael Byer, I will recognize you for your comments. Michael Byer.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we have you. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank the committee for bringing forth this bill. It has been the case in Iowa, as most states, that a person registering to vote only has to sign an affidavit that they are a U.S. citizen. Unfortunately, there have been cases where non-citizens have registered to vote, some of them unintentionally. I personally have challenged a voter registration of a non-citizen and found out that that person became unemployed. When they went to apply for unemployment benefits, they didn't speak English very well, and they were afraid they wouldn't receive the benefits. So they were signing every paper shoved in front of them, and one of those papers was to register to vote. So it happens. Also, I would like to say that I just heard one of the speakers say the county auditors do not have access to the SAVE system. In the comments online, I put a link to an application that county auditors can actually request permission to access the SAVE system. That would go to the USCIS to access the SAVE system. I also want to recognize that yes, this would affect election day registration. In fact, if they can't verify the citizenship at the polls, then the election day registrant would be required to submit a provisional ballot. And in my mind, that is a good thing because they need to be vetted. And we've always been told that we don't have any internet connection at the precinct, at the polling places. So they would vote a provisional ballot, and then that would be vetted in the elections office before the ASVP board had a chance to certify that as a valid ballot. We should not be allowing non-citizens to vote a regular ballot. I thank you for your attention. I urge passage of this bill.
Thank you, Michael. No one else has raised their electronic hand. Is there anyone else online that wants to weigh in? All right, so we're gonna move on. I think we've covered all the public participants. So I will be signing the subcommittee report to move this bill on. Pardon?
I have some comments.
Yeah, I'll give you a chance for that.
Thanks.
But now I'll turn to my colleague, Senator Winker, your questions and comments, please.
Sure, thank you. I think that one of the things that we need to think about is the validity of the system. Certainly we're hearing that they don't have access, but the amount of possible checks and balances that would be made for on-day registration. The other thing is that we need, if this is for the county, it needs to refer to Commissioner of Registration, that is in 48A.2, instead of Registrar. Registrar is the Secretary of State. The other thing that I would mention is that I have been on a subcommittee in transportation where this particular program is also identified, and transportation, they have chosen to put or any successor federal verification system. When SAVE is identified, they've also put in parentheses SAVE, and I'm thinking about consistency in regard to that. The other thing, the way the bill reads, an individual who possibly, however the SAVE program works, possibly it shows that they are not a citizen before it goes to district court. They don't have the opportunity to show proof of citizenship. The way the bill reads, it would automatically go to district court. And I think that the individual should have the opportunity to prove citizenship. If the system goes down at any time during early voting, and depending on the length of the time, there's no appeal process or no way to address just the physical components of this. And then last year, in the bill that was passed last year, section 49.80 identified that any precinct election official has the opportunity to ask for citizenship documentation when they have gone to the polls. I want to know how this program fits into the program that was passed last year. Let's see if I have anything else. It does not specify that they would be offered the opportunity for a provisional ballot. That is not outlined in this bill either. You know, I am terribly concerned that a program that sometimes has false positives in identifying people, the social security number might be helpful for that, but we're not relying on the fact that an individual, when they register to vote and they identify they are a citizen, there is a statement where they understand that they could be subject to perjury if it wasn't, they weren't actually a citizen, and actually fines and up to 5 years in jail. So we have made a lot of issues, particularly on that. We have changed the affidavit that is signed when you are at the polls to vote to identify yet again, they sign that they are citizens again. And so I just don't know if the way the bill is proposed, if it is workable. Absolutely, it is very important that all voters who are eligible to vote should be able to vote. And I'm concerned that there will be a negative impact in regard to this, in just the logistics of how this all works.
Senator Webster.
I think everybody, at least agrees at this table that you should be a legal citizen to vote within our elections. I think everybody believes in that and understands that. I think this system may be a system that's actually improving on that a little bit. I'd like to find out about the provisional ballot side of it, especially if we're doing same-day voter registration, but making sure that those ballots are numbered and held aside in case somebody does it. I don't believe that everybody who does vote illegally is doing it on purpose. There's many cases where people show up and they believe they can vote because they read it on the internet. You know, everything on the internet is correct. So safeguarding the side of that, and I think that's why in a lot of these cases when somebody does vote illegally, they don't go to jail and stuff like that. It's just that they didn't understand it and understand that they couldn't. So that's why a lot of that stuff never gets prosecuted in that way. You know, I've had it happen in my district, so I understand a little bit about it and looking at it. I don't believe that person ever got charged, and rightfully, I don't think they should. They thought that they could vote on a green card, they were incorrect.
Oh, that's handy, yeah, you don't want that.
And they could have got fined. I don't know what happened, I just don't remember any court cases, and you surely probably would have been all over the news. This particular bill, I think, is headed in the right direction to try to give us some sort of background to check. I think that obviously there's some things that came out of the subcommittee that might need a little tweaking. I'm more than happy to look at that, but I think the conversation needs to continue to move on, so I'll be signing off on this bill today.
All right.
May I have one
Yes,
question?
Senator Winkler.
Thank you. You had mentioned that you thought that this would be taken care of in the Secretary of State's office because of the upgrade of SAFE and the inclusion of the Social Security number. So are you in favor of this additional process, or where do you stand on that? In your comments, you mentioned that you think it would be taken care of.
So the Secretary doesn't have a formal position on this yet. Part of the reason we came to the subcommittee was to learn more about it, so Secretary B doesn't have a formal position at the time. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, thank you. With that, we're gonna declare this meeting adjourned, and work will continue on the bill. Thank you.